Is everybody okay with that? I was talking with Roger last night and I really dislike roll call votes. What's that?
We have one conversation. Oh.
Oh, Ellie?
Yeah.
No, we're starting the meeting. So talking with Roger and perhaps we can do a roll call of Mike Reese and the rest of us to the extent there's an out, like if there's a budget.
do that anyway.
I don't think there's gonna be too many votes, but I just don't, it's like
I'm for continuing the way it was last week.
doing it the way we did it last night. Okay,
It's good.
all right, cool. Great. I just want to make sure everybody's okay with that. It's. All right, so attendance, John.
Yep.
Ellie. I'm here. Stephen,
Yes.
Mark,
Yeah.
Sal,
Here.
Michael Reese,
Here,
Mike Sampson,
Here.
Karen Wolf. All right, we're all here. Roger sent out the minutes from last night. Today, did everybody have a chance to take a look at them? No. Those of you who did, any comments, questions, changes? I had a quick look at them today too. No, all right, well, then I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as drafted,
Last night.
just from last night, yep. Anybody want to entertain a motion? No? I'm gonna make a motion,
I'll make a
All right.
motion to accept them.
I'll second it. All right, so we got a motion and a second to accept the minutes as drafted. Any discussion? All right, vote to accept them, John?
Yeah.
Ellie, Stephen,
Saying
Mark,
yes.
Sal,
Yes.
Michael Reese,
yes,
Mike Sampson,
Saying
Karen, and I'll say yes.
Okay.
Did you get all that?
3 abstentions.
Okay. All right,
Sal has something.
yeah, so before we start off where we left off last night, I thought we would pick up where we left off last night. And then when we get to the water, sewer and ambulance, we wanted to revisit once we had the revenues. And then we do that, and then I thought we could go back to the police department, and I think that'll be it, right? That's kind of, and I, like I said last night, I don't want to. Unless there's something glaring or something that really wasn't resolved, I don't want to start going through all the other departments again. Because we've done that, we've had conversations about it, I'm sure nobody wants to be here till 9 o'clock again tonight, so. But Sal has something that he wanted to raise in the town administrator
Town
line.
administrator. And currently, we don't have any dollars in the transition account. We have a town administrator salary, but we don't have any transition. Is there any, Steve, intent to use Jack going forward in some kind of consulting role? Should we put some dollars in there or?
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. We haven't discussed it as a board, but it's not a bad idea. And certainly I would agree to it. So
Okay, well, I have no idea how much he gets paid. So maybe you could help us with Jack, some kind of number
I
or?
don't know how long that period would be. So,
Right.
I honestly don't know how much they bill the town. So I'm just an employee.
I don't know. MRI bills us. So
Right,
yeah.
It's not dollar for dollar what MRI is charging us goes. Yeah, it's not, he's not getting all of that.
no, I understand.
But
we still-
MRI is charging us equivalent to what we have in the budget. We're very close. We're using that money that was budgeted for town administrators, so.
Uh-huh.
The cost of MRI is very close to what our 2023 number was. Carrie can confirm that, but it's pretty close. But
Yeah, like each invoice varies based on hours, but like 7,500 a month, 8,000.
his annual bills could be really high.
Yeah, but we wouldn't use him nearly that much, I don't think, Jack, in a transition mode. do you? I mean,
I wouldn't, in other towns, I've done like 4 hours a week. If there's a heavy transition, yeah, I mean, ideally you want to bring somebody that at least has the technical skills to actually understand it and then just kind of some guidance.
Yeah, it really depends on who we hire. I mean, that really will play a role in it. You know, Mike acted as a consultant for when we brought Ned in.
Right.
And, we didn't have that, you know, we had to get some questions from Ned, but he wasn't here long enough to really have.
So if we were thinking roughly 20 hours a month. For a couple of months.
Sure, we would work within that.
I mean, a lot of the stuff could be handled by phone call, but we wouldn't necessarily have to have teams and help.
Right.
You know, most of it's some questions and.
So what's the, Carrie Ann, if we had could you come up with some kind of an hourly rate and we think, translate that, multiply that by 20 and get a monthly number and.
Well, what was it, 93,000 a year originally, or?
So for monthly bill, 8,000, here's Tuesday, Thursday, 78 days per month. So we're paying like $1,000 a day. And then $25 an hour.
Calculator. That'd be 2,500. So if we put $5,000 in there as a transition, that should probably get us roughly 2 months worth.
That
of-
would more than enough.
Okay.
That would be-
Do you want to use less? It's up to you. I mean, I'm just trying to,
Well, our 23 budget was 77,000.
yep.
I think even closer to 10,000 would be enough to cover it.
Okay.
You said 25,000.
No,
Five.
no, I said 5.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, no. All right, I'm sorry, I misheard. So,
Should it be more? 10?
yeah, I mean, again, I'm not gonna complain, but I mean, I just think it'll be in that range, between 5 and 10,000.
Does anybody else have any thoughts about this?
I move we add 8,000.
I'll second that, John.
Get a motion in a second, add $8,000 into the transition line, the town administrator. Do we have any further discussion on that? No, all right, I'll call for a roll call vote on that. John,
Yes.
Ellie,
No,
Stephen,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sal,
Yes.
Mike Reese,
yes,
Mike Sampson,
Yes.
Karen,
yes,
and I'll vote yes. All right, yes, has it. Oh, yeah, we have to do the bottom line now. Yeah.
Thank you, Al. Motion to change the number to 167, 292, 21.
Second that.
Motion in a second. Any further discussion on that? All right, John,
Yes.
Ellie, Stephen,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sal,
Yes.
Mike Reese,
yes,
Sampson,
Yes.
Karen,
yes.
and I'm a yes, so yes has it. And I wanted to say thank you to Carrie Ann for sending out that email today. She sent it out to everybody
Yep.
with the explanation and also attachments. So thank you for putting all that together. I know it probably took a bunch of your day that you weren't looking to do, so we appreciate that. Did you want to add anything?
That was everything. Chief Porter was not in the office, so we were talking on his cell phone. He couldn't remember what he had said in the meeting off the top of his head, so that was the best they could put together.
So we can, when we go back to the police budget, we can address that, I think, because we left that open, right? So. Okay. So I guess we'll pick up where we left off last night with transfer station. We have a number of blanks in this section, and it seems like we've been, unless we're planning to remove them or not use them, we've been adding dollars to these. I would imagine we'd want to do the same thing. So, unless we don't need to, I guess, so for example, overtime, do we not use overtime for the transfer station at all?
They've been working overtime.
Okay.
Minimal.
So we should add $1 to that line to keep it there then. Okay,
Well, I spent 900 this year. so
Yeah.
Maybe we should spend more than $1. Mike, did you look at the history?
We didn't have any, but
The transfer station overtime, what had been done in the past with any overtime work was charged to the building and ground. So now that we're representing where the money is coming to spend, the one we started charging the overtime to the transfer station, so we can get a more accurate. Guess of what's going on.
okay.
So I guess I would move to add 900 to that line.
second that.
Because that's what we spent already. Huh? And that's what we spent 2023 was $913. So we have a motion, the second to add $900 to line 140 for overtime, which currently has nothing for transfer station. Do we have any discussion on that? All right, we'll take a vote. John,
Yes,
Ellie,
Yeah.
Stephen,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sal,
Yes,
Mike Reese,
Yeah,
Rick Sampson,
Yes.
Karen.
Yeah.
And I'm a yes. All right. There's this line for transfer station water and sewer. It's blank.
there was $1, but there's no history. Is that something we need, Mike?
There's no water in the sewer.
So we could remove
But
it.
they have a porta potty, does that pick up that cost there? I don't know, just asking. As far as service. Is there a porta potty? I believe it was because it had to in the garage. Okay. As far as I know, gonna have a bathroom without water and sewer. Because they tied it into the water and sewer plant. As far as I know, there's a bathroom. Right here.
Well, if we just put a bucket in there, it's not gonna kill anything.
There is, it's in the garage.
Okay, there's no cost really, it doesn't pay water or sewer fees.
There, it doesn't need to be pumped there.
we should be paying water and sewer fee.
You tell.
So it's,
Ellie's paying for this.
what's the consensus? Do we want to just keep it and add $1 or do we want to just leave it blank?
I move we throw $1 in there.
All right. Well, let's
Do them all.
let's go through them and then we can do a motion for
Okay.
adding dollars. Miscellaneous, is that still, we're not allowed to have those?
Supposed to.
So
That's a remove.
should we remove that?
Yep.
Move that line. All right, and then transfer station heat,
It's electric heat.
it's electric heat. So it would seem that,
I would put $1 there, because if we ever change it.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, so.
And what's the fuel for on the next one?
That's a duplicate of 415 account. There were two fuel accounts, one was for recycling, one was for trash. It's all combined, which I agree with.
But we'll leave that blank because of the history, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up under water and sewer, we just put $1 in.
And then
SWD. repair.
SWD repair,
What is that? Got a history, so we should put $1 in there.
yeah, C&D hauling services, did that get moved too? Yeah, okay. So based on this, there'd be a motion to add $1 to line -412, -411, -430, -390, and to remove the line that's miscellaneous at -690.
Did you put $1.415?
I can't find this, says it's a duplicate account, but I can't find an account for that number.
Do we put $1 in which one, Mike?
So I'm getting us early at the same time.
We're just gonna leave it.
Leave it empty.
Yeah,
The answer Ellie, is about 9 lines down is the fuel, and then about 15 lines down is another fuel. $415 is one, the other one is $415, but one's 415. And the other one is the $415, but it's $43.24 versus $43.23. One is for operation of disposal, the other is for all the other crap.
I'll second your motion.
all right, excellent. And I guess, we'll add to the motion to change the bottom line number, which will be 371,676 -5 point.
We've added the 900 before this, so it's actually gone up.
Oh, right, I forgot about that, sorry about that. Somebody with a,
So we have not actually.
Yeah, just hang on. So we're adding $1 to, let me just, and I'll get it for you.
Mike.
412.
At the risk of being dragged out screaming out of the room, in going through and verifying the retirement of FICA, I discovered a problem. And that was in March of last year, pay increase was given to JR and Dan Canning. One got $1 an hour increase, the other got $1.50, but it never made its way through the system to come up into the 2023 year, so they actually got $1 and $1.50 each, which means the numbers, it was in the budget that went to the voters. That was correct, but it was never implemented. So I'm just pointing it out for the record that it should be higher. Monica, can you share?
Well, could we just deal with this one first and get this motion done and then we'll
Sure.
come to that one?
I just didn't want you to jump to another department.
That's fine. Yeah, all right, so we added the 900 already. We're adding $1 to
412.
412, $1 to 690.
No, we're removing
Oh,
690.
690 is removed. Sorry, thank you. Yeah,
$4, yeah, we're adding $1 to 411.
411.
We're leaving 415 at blank. We're adding $1 to 430 and $1 to 390.
Okay, all right, so
I got a number, but I don't know if it's right.
what do you get? 372,576,59? Yep. Okay, so the motion should be, I'll make the motion. Oh, you're gonna make that. Yeah, I'll make the motion. I'm gonna add $1 to the 412, 411, 430, and 390. And the new total will now be 372,576,59.
Do we want to vote on the bottom line before we hear about the?
If we get that done, we can change.
Yeah,
the
you
bottom
can
line
change it,
again.
okay. If you did a motion?
Yes, I did.
All right, I'm seconding my motion. Any further discussion on that?
I have a question,
Yeah, Mike.
okay? Apologize for the 11th hour on this question, but I remember at the very first meeting, the first go through on the transfer station, JR was there, and I just sensed body language and his tone that he really wasn't all that keen on some of the sort of procedural changes that were I guess being planned. So I went to the Enfield budget for 2023 on their MS 737, and their total waste disposal budget was 179,000 for 2023. Now I imagine that doesn't include their labor. I'm assuming that doesn't include the labor like we have in this particular format for the budget. But so add 100, that's 279. If you take out our 20 for the site work and 30 for the extra tipping, which I understand is unavoidable, it still seems like we're $50,000 or $60,000 higher than what we might be based on on a population to population comparison. So I don't know if my analysis is correct. That's why I'm phrasing this as a question mostly for Dan and Steve, but is the reason for making the procedural changes on the hauling of the recycling and et cetera, and the cans? I don't remember all the details. We're spending a lot more money this year, but are we going to have savings going forward? It just seems like it's out of whack.
Did you want to address that, Steve?
No, I mean, because we don't have a firm plan of what we're gonna do to make the changes there, so I can't.
Okay.
There could be expenses going up in the short term. The goal will be to have a reduction, but we're not there yet.
Okay. Ellie?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, and I, might be wrong, and I don't know if this affects where Enfield puts it in the budget, but I think Enfield, the last thing you had house-to-house pickup. And their transfer station's only open 1 day a week, from what I've been told. And that's not official, but just, from what I've read on Facebook and stuff, that they're only open 1 day a week, usually Saturdays. And that they have house-to-house pickup. If you drive to Enfield, you see the cans and stuff beside the road.
Okay.
So, yeah, I appreciate that, but I would not use Facebook as a source.
So I'm just saying that they said somebody in Enfield and it was open that day. So, again, like I said, it wasn't official.
Yeah.
Have to look it up. But that's what I
Just
remember.
vote the question and see if this thing, whether or not.
Their website, that's what it said. So.
So, Mike, you just kind of throwing that out there for a question. Are you making a motion in that?
No, I was asking for, I guess, some explanation. I mean, this budget, other than the highway department, this is the biggest increase in the town budget. And I just, again, I'm ignorant on the subject. I don't understand what's the reasoning for changing the procedure on how we do things if it's going to cost more money. I guess evidently it seems to me it's costing $40,000 or $50,000 more to do it, whichever this new way is, as opposed to the way we were doing it. There may be good reason. I'm just asking. I'm not. This is a very non-confrontational question.
Even without the change, Mike, the tipping fees are going up. I mean, that's a big portion of that increase as well this coming year is the tipping fees. And I don't know what document you were looking at from Enfield, or if that was, for next year or for this year.
He said it was 737. Which year was it like? Which MS 737, was it for the most recent year?
I can't hear. What's that?
What year?
Oh, 2023.
I'll look that up, I'm gonna go to the website, I've looked this up before. but-
So you should be looking at our 2023 number if you're comparing it to Enfield's 2023.
Well, right.
Okay.
Carrie Ann, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to, explain to Mike Reese that our 2023 transfer station budget is overspent by 37,000, and it might fluctuate as the last of the year-end invoices come in. So even if you're looking at the 2023 budgeted for the transfer station versus what we're proposing, the transfer station is overspent by a lot of money, 37,000.
Okay. That's good context there. Mike?
3 comments. First one is that there are 3 different divisions in the Enfield town budget that deal with solid waste. Totals about $900,000. So even with these changes and everything, it's a huge difference. Enfield is much higher. So they got all the same transfer station costs. They have the disposal costs that are buried in the curbside and in the transfer station. And it's just an extremely extravagant system. So if you go in and look, don't look just under trash. If you look under trash, you're gonna see personnel costs, just the opposite of what Mike thinks it is. And then there's contracted services, and it's under sanitation or something like that, or health and sanitation, but it's in different divisions in their budget. The second comment is, I'm very concerned about the fact that personnel changed in Lebanon. That resulted in increasing the cost of disposal. That's a regional facility that has an agreement that goes back 30 years. The use of the facility where the towns are supposed to have some semblance of control on it. And that budget now, those costs now exceed the cost of disposal of commercial facilities.
It's something to think about.
Yeah,
Moving
and
forward,
the other
okay.
part of the comment, which is even more controversial probably, is 6 months after the person who was running the facility left, he took a high-paying job with consultant. So, and that's public record.
Okay.
So I would just point out that that does give me some pause and should give other people a pause in terms of how competitive the system is, if there's no longer a viable, competitive public sector disposal. So
Okay. Karen,
The last time I was here, the $1,700 for uniforms, did we solve whether we're actually paying that or not? And should we, or is there, JR didn't seem to care, he didn't want it, so I just wonder about that. Never got it.
It doesn't have an expense in there for it.
I thought we were gonna clarify.
I think it was still part of the contract we're paying, is what I understood, right? So I don't know, there's anything we can do, it's being billed currently, and there's nothing we can do as far as canceling that right now, right?
We need the employees to maintain their accounts. So we would need the employee or the department head to manage the bill.
Yep.
Like they have weekly contact with the uniform person that comes in every day, so we've been working on it.
Okay,
I don't understand. I accept it, I don't understand.
Well, we're basically needing for somebody to talk to the uniform person and tell them they don't need the uniforms anymore,
Who's the somebody?
the employees.
So we want JR to talk to the uniform person?
That would be pushed to them.
Does the uniform person show up at the,
Yes, everybody's aware of each other.
and JR has opted not to talk to him? Is that what you're saying?
I have no idea what's going on. I'm just trying to reflect the budget based on the invoices that we're currently paying and
But
they added the.
so whose responsibility is it to try to solve, it's a minor amount of money, but we all agreed it was sort of dumb if we're paying for a uniform we're not getting, so.
I seem to recall we were gonna assign this to the full-time administrator.
Is that what we have to wait for?
Notice he said full-time.
Okay, yeah, I like that, Mike.
He didn't put it on you.
So it stays in the budget.
I think that's probably
Probably that,
the most likely situation, assuming somebody talks to them, stops getting invoices. Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. Sir, did you have a comment?
Yes, Larry Braven. I just want to let you know that we had a problem with UniFirst when I worked for the town. We switched to another company and we had to pay UniFirst the full contract, even though it would have come down to they had better lawyers than we.
So essentially, the contract may not be able to, yeah.
So if you have a contract with them now for the transfer station employees, until that contract is run out, more than likely you're stuck paying them for that, whatever that is.
Okay. Thank you for that insight. And
Yeah.
Ellie,
Yeah, so I still have, if we're paying it, why isn't it in the 2023 budget? And why isn't there an amount showing that we spent the money? Because there's nothing there.
because it was the reallocation.
From where?
Highway.
Highway?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so any other questions on this? We have a motion and a second on the table.
Right. The motion is the dollars and the total.
And the 900.
And then I have.
It's all in there.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just pull the vote. John,
Yes.
Ellie,
Abstain.
Stephen,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Sal.
Yes.
Mike Reese,
Abstain.
Mike Sampson,
Yes,
and Karen,
Yes,
and I'll be a yes. Okay, Mike, you had something on further on transfer station
yeah.
before we moved on?
Yeah, Monica will let me share.
Yeah, we should be able to.
Right, I'm just pointing it out to everybody, I do think it's a potential problem. But again, in trying to reconcile the retirement and everything else, I went back through and looked at the history of the pay increases to see why it wasn't, why, it was coming out less than it should have based on what happened a year ago. And I couldn't figure out why. Three people, DeFusse, Grace, and Geddes. Back in 3/1/22, the board approved a $1.50 increase for DeFusse and a $1 increase for Grace. This is the rate they were at, this is what it went to. There was an annual increase done at the end of the year of 7.2%. This is what their rates would have gone to down here. So theoretically, at the end of 2023, doing the 2.8%, this is what their rates would go to down here. The idea behind this rate back up in here was when everybody was concerned about the inability to get Class A and CDL drivers. And the thought was to try to get them to 50,000, so that at least he wasn't encouraged to go someplace else since drivers were making 100,000 with a CDLA. So that was passed by the board, went through. But here's the problem in 20, and it's just the way it is, and it could have happened in 22, it could have happened in 23, I don't know what happened. All I know is that right now, what's being projected for actual is 22.77. And with the increase of the 2.8%, that we get to $23, which is $1.50 less, a little over $1.50 less down here than what theoretically was supposed to have happened. And that's the same thing is true down here. You got 17.97 versus the $20.37 for a daily grace. If you compare what was in the town report, that's a total of 94 grand last year. It was budgeted for 2023. And based on what was paid, according to Carrie Ann stuff, it was about $86,000. So there's a fairly decent spread there. There was $18,000 spread. And that's true down here as well. So basically, as an issue of fairness, somebody ought to look at least those two salaries. They were increased. There's board action on it in the minutes. You can check it on March 1st.
So those two individuals owed money from the town then?
What's that?
Are they both owed money from the town then? Is
Depends
that?
on your view. I mean, the board can say, yeah, we changed our minds and that's the end of it. I mean, I don't think anybody knows it. I mean, I know because I had to go back and reconstruct it to see how it got to where it is. And I'm a little surprised. But I would, at the very least, I'll go, the dollar amount that's being proposed for this coming year is 101,000. Okay. I think probably if there was fairness, it should be 110,000. $9,000 increase. So it's not the end of the world, but in the interest of fairness, somebody ought to do something about it, at least go back and figure out why that wasn't paid. It was paid for a period of time.
Do we know what their hourly rate is? Can you tell us what their hourly rate is?
Is that protected?
I don't know, I'm asking. That's why I'm asking.
Got it.
I said, can you tell us?
As an individual basis, I think it's protected, but maybe not.
No, it's not. Any salary stuff, I know it's a misconception that it's protected, it's not. It's all part of public records.
Right, so do you have their hourly rate?
I do.
That actually sent, me.
Okay,
like, since- Yeah, I sent everyone the personnel budget, like I've been reminding everyone. month to month.
Long time ago.
And,
I was not a board member in 3/1/22. I had not been elected yet, or I've been elected, but I haven't started.
Yeah, it hasn't had the election now.
so what are their rates? Are their rates?
it was the same, let me go back to that one. It's on there.
So no,
The number that says actual here.
Yeah.
That's what their rates are.
okay, and it should be the bottom number. That's what you're telling us.
Well, it should be down here. In other words, if this was a document that was put together in September of last year to get ready for the budget for 2023. the assumption was it was gonna be this number.
These gentlemen haven't advocated for themselves in front of the board as far as, hey, you said you're gonna give us a raise.
This is the first time you're.
And nobody
Yes,
gave
no, In all fairness, nobody else has an idea. This has only come up.
But
When I sent the
the
budget a week ago, I discovered. it.
the individual though would note that they didn't get a raise, wouldn't they?
It depends on whether they're even.
Not so necessarily on that.
Yeah, okay.
Jump on that, we've had a number of employees not know. that have a holiday.
Oh, okay.
That's true. A lot of employees don't either get deductions to go.
Yeah, they don't notice it, yeah, fair enough.
But I would at least encourage somebody to think about it. I'm not gonna make a motion. But it's $9,000.
Just want it on the record as
All right, well, yeah.
being recognized.
Stephen, just take a look into it. See what goes on with the employees.
So Gloria was the bookkeeper at the time, and Mike was the town administrator.
Yeah, but that's easy to say, but I don't know when it happened. So I don't know whether it happened. I think it's just as likely to have happened in the beginning of 23.
Well,
So be careful about.
Somebody had to make a physical change on their pay rate then.
No, so what probably happened is they took the rate from last year, from the beginning of 22. This is the midterm change. So they took the old rate in 22, multiplied it by the 1.72, got the new rate. And imposed that in 23. I think that's the most likely thing that happened. I would have gone downstairs after the person said, Gloria, change the rate to this.
So I think the department head has come here and presented the budget and this is what they're asking for. I mean, I think. If something needs to be rectified, we're not gonna do that right now with the information we have or tonight. I suppose there are other opportunities to do it, but I would. Well, I would say let's. Move on unless,
So, as I said, I'm not making a motion,
Okay.
but I want it in the record
Yeah, that's fine.
that the numbers appear to be in error to the tune of roughly $1.50 per hour for the superintendent, $1 an hour for the assistant.
Okay,
so that bottom line stays then. We don't have to do any more on that.
that's correct.
Okay, great.
We have somebody with their hand up.
I'm curious, is that reflected in the minutes anywhere, Mike?
Yes, go to March 1st, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
You voted on it, actually.
No, he was gonna say, Lieutenant Scott.
22, he was there.
We don't need to. All right, so moving on. Health.
Should we have dollars in there?
What's that?
Should we have a dollar?
Dollar, yeah,
I think.
veterinary services and other. Do we,
So, yeah.
want to put dollars in those lines? There's
Yeah.
two lines that are blank.
I'll make a motion to put $1 in, 390 and 680. And change the number to 2693.25.
I'll second that. Any discussion on that?
Quick question, did we ever approve the final number for transfer?
We did. It was part of the last motion.
7-2.
All right, we got a motion and a second, and no further discussion. We'll vote on that. John,
Yes.
Ellie,
Yeah,
Stephen,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sal,
Yes.
Mike Reese,
Yes,
Mike Sampson,
Yes.
Karen.
Yeah.
And I'm a yes. All right. Moving on to welfare. Did anybody have any changes to that? There's no blanks in that one, so if not, we're gonna move on. We at the rec.
Have a proposed change.
In rec department,
Yeah.
what is that post change?
You've got payroll under that department now, so you're gonna put in something for workers' comp.
Well, is it payroll or is it stipend? And does it matter? I don't know. Is is she a contractor or is she gonna be a regular employee?
I think in the past, she was a regular employee, but,
I don't know. That's why I'm just asking.
She hasn't been hired at all, so she's
Yeah.
nothing right now, so this is a proposal, I think Mike put in a proposal, we have to go back to that meeting, we were talking about it, I'm not sure.
There was money in there for the Enfield rec, but they
No.
never came here, and so.
Okay.
Well, I'll change that, yeah.
This money's to
Yep,
be used.
no, I know
yeah,
that. That's,
yeah.
that's what would initiate it.
I just point out, so here's the issue. You got fired, that's it. Okay? If she's interested in the job, you better at least consider her an employee for workers' comp. otherwise
Sure.
you will be live.
That's something now.
I don't disagree.
I think it's money well spent to put the money in, and that number came from someplace, I don't know exactly where the hell it did come from. It didn't come from me, but I asked about it at some point along the way, that's the number I got. And I think there ought to be at least something in there to recognize the fact that you have a potential employee injury issue if you don't carry workers' comp.
So we need to add a whole new line, because I don't see one.
Well, there used to be one there, yeah,
It used to be in personnel administration.
well, I got this from somebody that said the line number was 260. So I don't know, I personally would recommend that you put in a line 260 that says workers comp and put it down.
I'll second that. I think that
$500, I was at,
$500.
it's only 10,000, can't do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty limited.
So your motion is to put a new line in, for workers' comp.
Yeah.
And
25, 20, 10, 260.
to put $500 in that? All right, I'll second that motion. Any discussion on that?
We already have a line in the personnel administration for workers' comp, yeah, that's not there.
No, because we got workers' comp all through the budget.
Yeah, but then who's covered under personnel administration?
In which department?
Well, there's still a line, $775 per person for workers' comp, but who's it for?
In which department?
Personnel.
Say, on the personnel administration. On page. I think we got a page there, page 4. No,
I don't see anything yet for workers' compensation.
41,
I see a zero. That's
Maybe
it.
lucky.
Okay, sorry,
That's okay.
I must have been reading the wrong one.
Well, if that's true, then we do not have workers' comp under the welfare administrator welfare.
Yeah, we don't have it on the
I'll
line.
be there too.
Now, yesterday's question about the town hall workers' comp.
Oh, that's
Right.
right.
Everything.
Oh, that's right.
Town hall and the-
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Where is it?
That's where I saw it. It's $775 under T8. 4150, 6260, page 5. That's where I saw it.
And that would cover welfare, right? Anybody in a position in the town hall?
Covers anybody,
Yeah.
including volunteers.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's all we need for all those other departments, then? You can just get rid of it?
So with the director.
Volunteer.
Okay. So would the rec person fall under that? They would. So maybe we
If they're
don't
not
need
an
it.
employee and they're volunteer, then primary covers.
Okay. Does that answer your concern, Mike?
Yeah, I think they are employed.
Yeah.
You can call us that, but you can call whatever you want, to pay them wages.
So should we withdraw that motion then?
Yep.
Okay.
As long as they're working under the direction of the selectmen or somebody in the town, they're employees.
All right, so that motion's been withdrawn. We have some blanks under the rec. Do we want to add dollars? Do we want to leave those blanks? What do people think?
I would add dollars. For a bunch of them. On contracts and services above, it's when you hire somebody to come in and work in the fields. Program supplies, if there's a rec program, that's where you expend it through. It may come out of the rec funds, but it still is a way to run money through the budget. Same thing in equipment. Part-time, if you have part-time employees, it's again a way to do it, and you do have part-time employees for the CAS program. You still have an after-school program. And then the FICA and Medicare, same deal. If you have a part-time, you ought to have $1 for the FICA and Medicare on it.
So we're adding $5.
Then we got the buck for this one.
Well, that's already been in.
So we're adding 5. So is that your motion?
Yes,
I'll second that motion to add $1 to those blank spaces. Any further discussion on that?
Well, no, you want to change the bottom line at the same time?
Oh, yeah, good point.
19,771.
Yep.
Ellie,
Yeah, how much is in the revolving account? When that revolving account was set up, that's what we were told. So that all the rec programs are supposed to be run through there, they were supposed to charge a fee and collect revenue, and the expenses were supposed to be paid out of that account as well.
So in the red book, don't we have the rec funds in the?
Yeah, I had all the fund balance in it.
It would be nice to know it's in the police revolving and the,
It's all in the red book, I believe, but.
Recreation at the audited 2022, it was police was 37,730. Everything's listed on the fund balance for account.
right, I'll look it up. I think it's probably the same as in the county portion.
All right,
On the motion.
let's vote on the motion. John,
Yes.
Ellie,
No,
Stephen,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sal.
Yes.
Mike Reese,
Yes,
Mike Sampson,
Yes.
Karen,
Yeah,
and I'll vote yes. All right. So now I believe we're back to, if I'm looking correctly, back to water and sewer, right? What's that? We have police too, but, did you want, I guess, do we want to do police first and then do water and sewer and, so what do you want to do?
It doesn't matter. We'll probably get through water and sewer.
Quick,
faster.
yeah, let's move on to the, because we have the revenue amounts now, so. Let's go back to sewer, I guess, to start on page 14 there.
Didn't we go through all the expenses already?
Yeah, but we wanted to,
I just wanted to make a final decision once I can see what the. revenue
Yeah.
is.
Right,
yeah, exactly,
so that's what we're gonna, that's the conversation we should have. right?
yeah, because we didn't make final decisions on those three, so.
Where are the revenues?
So I can make a comment on that, because I was one to raise the issue.
Yeah.
Mary Ann did give us a few page. Three has got one number, and page 4's got the other number. So the first one is on page 3, and that's the sewer number, and it's 102,000. And page 4 is the water number, is 143,000. That's the good news. The bad news is 47, that's a total of 246,000. The bad news is that there's ARPA, the water grant project's got 48,000 in there. And that's important because that really doesn't go to support the overall programs there for capital costs.
Those are the 23 numbers, right, that you were reading,
Yeah, that's correct. And that would tell you what the revenue looked like last year.
right?
You can look at what's expected for next year, but I thought I'd go through the 23 ones.
Fine, thank you.
first, okay?
Yep.
You got basically 246,000, but 47,000 of it is. You really can't count it as a given, so it's 199,000. Then the next step in my analysis would be to go and look at what the total cost is in our budget for the two departments. But right now, the two departments are $290,000. Unless I missed something. So you got 199,000 and you got 290,000 for expense. You got 128,858 for sewer. And you got 162,000 for water. In that, you've got debt service costs and capital improvements. They're a part of that, so if you take those out of there, 45 and 50 is 40. And then up above into the sewer, you've got another batch that is 5, so you got 45,000, so that would bring it down to
Yes.
well, $40,000 or $50,000 more costs than you got revenue, so I'm just pointing it out. But you don't have enough revenue to cover the budget. So if you go back and then look at what's projected for 24. You got 92,000 projected for water. And you got 92,000 projected for sewage. 184,000. But your budget is significantly higher. But sooner or later, someone's got to pay the piper.
Does that include the, And the revenue, did that include the contribution that the taxpayers made in the warrant article? Did they ask for like 14,000?
Yeah, no, it doesn't, I don't think, maybe it does, it might be on the earlier side. Yes, it does, but that money that we just talked about, the 199,000 plus 14,000 for Article 7. So it isn't even 190, it's 185,000.
So
Not
one
a
of the,
new issue, by the way. It's been that way for several years.
so one of the things that I'm working on at the moment is examining the water and sewer rates to see what they should be. And not only how to, I'll say, repay the general fund for the deficit for the last, whatever. 4
Don't
years,
need to.
4 years. But also to anticipate the fact that you've got $2.1 million worth of water infrastructure improvements that you're in the queue for, some of which obviously is going to be paid by other people's money, but some of it isn't. And so we're working on a rate adjustment that probably would take place over the next few years to gradually get you up where you are so that the revenues would actually cover the expenses.
So is there anything we could, go ahead, sorry, Mike.
Because the correction is, nothing ever came out of the general fund. It's a non-lapsing account, so what happened is they spent down on what was available in the account.
Okay.
When it's gone, it's gone. Okay, then you got a problem you can't spend, really, what it boils down to. So, and it isn't a problem today, but it could be a problem within the next 2 or 3 years.
And in the 2 or 3 years, is when we're going to be putting a couple $1 million into it, hopefully. Some of it's a grant, some of it is a loan, some of it is a match. Some of those figures are still up in the air because it depends on, average income, how much our rates are and so forth. So we're still working that out with other people that determine the rates and so forth.
There ought to be more usage in the town over the last 12 months. Which should improve the revenues, because there are buildings that went back into service with tenants and all the rest. And it should be higher, so I really, that's why I asked on the radio, I really anticipate the revenue is gonna be about 225.
Mhm.
Based on the number of users we have. So I'm a little surprised about that, that's something that ought to be looked at. Anyway, if you're already looking at it, it's fine, it is gonna be an issue, and likewise,
Right.
there's that pail can only carry so much water, so.
Right.
know,
So you think that-
passed, and we jacked it up, we already jacked it 35% and 20%.
But it's not paying for itself.
I got it.
It has to.
I got it.
No other place to get the money. It's an enterprise. So
Unless you can figure out a cheaper way to do it.
So what we're oh, sorry, John, go ahead.
The selectmen are overloaded, and they are the water commissioners. They're also the cemetery commission. The previous board decided that they wanted to manage everything because they preferred the decisions they came up with versus what the prior commissioners came up with. But that may be an overstatement. It would be advisable, I think, for the current select board to appoint water commissioners, appoint cemetery commissioners, and get some of the workload off you, get some other points of view on the topic, and chase some of these small problems that get ignored.
Good point, John, and we've had conversations to that effect, so.
would that take a warrant article
No,
to create
no,
a?
the board just decided that they were gonna be the commissioners, and they appointed themselves.
It doesn't take a warrant article on the water and sewer commissions.
Okay.
So that's all, is there anything we could do on, budget wise, right now, there's probably not, right?
I think every budget for the last 35 years has been overstated.
Okay.
And a lot of the increase is because we're trying to add ahead there for the transfer of power.
And your take, Mike, is that the revenues that are projected, that are shown in these sheets are a little light for the water and for the sewer? Is that what you're,
Yeah, I mean, they may be real, I can't see, who knows until next year,
right?
but the anticipation should be north of $200,000 after you subtract out the capital stuff.
Okay. So that's a thing that you guys are gonna figure out. Right?
I mean, I mean, legitimately, I don't suppose you can, I don't think you can. Add more money than water rates allow for at the moment, because to reset the water rates, you're gonna have a public hearing, you gotta do some stuff, and there's a process.
Okay.
We anticipate we'll probably have to go through that later in 2024. But we have to actually calculate, one of the things we've done is make sure we audit that. The water we're producing is actually being delivered, we're not losing a lot, and that we're tracking it all appropriately. And then settle into what's the depreciation, what's capital replacement, what does it look like, how are we gonna pay for it?
There's a young man.
Sir?
Yes, I was curious if there was a line for, repayment of the highway department for their services when they work for the water and sewer. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I think it could be considered theft by deception. The taxpayers are paying the highway department. And the highway department's been doing a lot of water and sewer work over the years. It's not right. It's fine if the water and sewer department put the line item in to reimburse actual costs back to the highway department and not just say, oh, that's okay.
We view that as a unauthorized use of general funds, no?
Because there's not much of a separation between water and sewer and highway anyway, because water and sewer doesn't have any of its own equipment, so if they're gonna dig up a thing, they gotta use the highway
But
backhoe.
the problem with that is,
It's a non-issue. You're not gonna,
You got a truck.
the issue with the water and sewer generally is that it's supposed to be an enterprise fund, so the expenses should be paid by the users.
That's to your point.
But I think his point is that if it's an enterprise fund, right? And the highway folks are doing work for this, they should be be reimbursed for the work that they're doing.
Right.
not enough profit, just.
That's, I understand, I'm just saying that, I understand your point, I get it. I don't know what we could do about it today, but.
Well, we allocate one half of the FTEs in highway
Mhm.
for water and sewer whenever they're switching, depends on, and the payroll tracks that, so. In terms of direct labor costs, we do keep track of it. All departments help each other out when they need it. We don't-
I totally
we
understand
don't
that.
Track that.
Yeah, he's just pointing out the accounting business, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Mike?
Yeah, there's a lot of history behind this that goes back decades.
I don't know that we need to,
There was a trade-off of equipment, so for instance, the tractor was acquired from the water and sewer fund was used. I guess the blue tractor or whatever, one of the tractors was paid for on the water and sewer fund, which actually had some money. And that was supposed to be a partial trade-off, but the fact of the matter is. Those monies that are in the MS7. Under the general fund. Because even though we have an enterprise account. That enterprise account and all the expenditures in it. Are still an obligation of the town of Canaan, not the water and sewer district. The town of Canaan. So in the warrant article, there's language that says, well, the voters vote to raise and appropriate, so every voter in the town, whether it's village taxpayer or town taxpayer. Votes to approve that budget because that is considered the general fund budget. Which means, if nobody paid their rates next year, town has to pick up the total cost. So even though it's a revenue account, and I think everybody I've ever read of, looked at their records. For the last 30 years has tried to do it, they have tried to make it work so no money comes out of the town general fund to support the program. And it worked for 30 years because they were capitalized with $1 million reserve account when they started it. By 2012, it was gone. That's when the rates started going up.
so they were subsidizing it from that account.
Right, so just as a suggestion, part of the key is to get either more volume or more ratepayers. And the one advantage that the town of Canaan has is it has twice as much capacity as is currently being used. So if you were to put a manufacturing plant, it was a corner as an example. And we used, 10,000 gallons of water a day. It's already covered. I mean, the water's covered, the labor cost is covered, everything's covered, and that would make a huge difference. And we have the capacity. So that's one way of dealing with it, but this is just to raise the issue as a reminder that it is a fixture.
The gentleman's point, I don't know if that's something, I mean, we can't add a line here without any information right now at this point in time, but it's something that you wanna bring before the board and, you know, perhaps something to look into, I think I would encourage you
For
to
my
do so.
purposes, we're reflecting, I think, in the revenue, the money we've collected based on the rates that are in place and the money we expect to collect that haven't been billed yet, based on the current rates. That's all we can do.
Yeah, okay. So then I say we, you know, move forward with the budget as it is, you know, I guess the same question with this, there are a couple of blank lines there,
No, that's something.
what's that?
Right.
Page
No, no, wait.
15, page 14. Oh, yeah.
On-call pay.
Yeah, do we wanna,
No.
do we want dollars in those blanks?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think it makes sense of the couple.
there's three that I see.
Why don't you- Good, why don't you just go through, Mike, and tell us the one.
Well, pay.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have somebody available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
I only got one person working, figure it out.
Okay,
You know, they have to have some type of at least $1 in the account.
All right.
You have to
Thank
have.
you. next.
Bank charges, no, that's been rolled into the general operations and I don't believe we've done anything with bank charges anywhere in the recent past.
Should we remove it or as a line item then?
Do you know of any bank charges that are part of water and sewer? I don't either. So I can get rid of it.
What about legal expense?
Legal expense you could leave, that could be
Okay.
a block.
Okay,
So that looks like a motion that,
And we just had sewer or what do we have?
but we'll stay with sewer, then we'll move to water.
and so we're adding $2.
So I'll make a motion, we add $1 to on-call pay, $1 to legal expense, and remove bank charges, which would adjust the bottom line number to 128,860.38.
Second,
Any further discussion on that? All right, move to a vote. John?
Yep.
Ellie?
Yeah.
Stephen?
Yes.
Mark?
yes.
Sal?
Yes,
Mike Reese? Mike Sampson?
Yes.
Karen?
Yeah.
Mike Reese?
Yes, I had muted myself, sorry.
And I'll vote yes. Okay.
water.
128,860, yep. And 38 cents. All right, moving on to water.
Make a motion to add $1 to the on-call pay, engineering and planning, legal expenses, leave ARPA blank, but leave it in place. Changing the bottom line number to $162 and $5.70.
I'll second that motion. We have any further discussion on that?
You read what they were doing.
$1 on on-call pay, $1 on engineering and planning, $1 on legal expense, leave the ARPA water line blank in place, and change the bottom line to 162.05.72.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, move to a vote. John?
Yeah.
Ellie?
Yeah.
Stephen?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sal?
Yes,
Mike Reese?
Yes,
Mike Sampson?
Yes.
Karen?
Yeah.
And I'm a yes. So that, oh, well, I think we got
oh, we got another one.
CEMS, right? Is that another one?
Okay,
Uh,
If you do the combined.
the combined total.
no,
We did not do the combined total. I guess we have to approve the combined total, which would be those two numbers added together, which, anybody have that?
298.66.
that's correct.
All right. So you making a motion, Mike?
Yes.
All right. and I'll-
Second.
Sal seconded. We'll just, I don't know if there's any further discussion on that, so just move to a vote. John?
Yes.
Ellie?
No.
Stephen?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sal?
Yes,
Mike Reese?
yes,
Mike Sampson?
Yes.
Karen?
Yeah.
And I'm a yes. All right. And then on to emergency services. We had requested, we wanted the revenue, just look at the revenue on that.
Yeah, so the revenues are on the page 4, page 4. The last year shows 442,62. The insurance is up fair amount to 199,000. Having said that, total proposed budget for CEMS is 562,000. So that's $120,000 more. The reason for doing the private transport was to generate more revenue into the program. It is an enterprise fund. They have to balance the fund. The town is limited in terms of what it's doing. This one's a little different from the highway, or from the water and sewer. So this one, the real obligation of the town to fund it is 185,000. So it's just a commentary that right now there is not sufficient funds to go in to cover all the costs that are in there. And whatever it's worth, that's gonna have to be watched. And if you wanted to compare that, for instance, with last year's, it was 485 for CEMS versus the 442. So the difference last year's budget was only $40,000, and that was before we fully implemented the private transport. So that means that with extra revenue coming in this year, the expenses have gone up fairly dramatically. And again, that is an enterprise fund that has a fair amount of latitude in terms of what it does. But if they went up more than the revenue coming in is self-defeating, you're not going to balance it. Again, this year's budget compared to last year's budget was 485. This year's budget is 562. So it's $75,000 higher.
Stephen?
I have a question for Carrie Ann. Carrie Ann, are we showing IFT income in a separate, there's nothing in there that I see for the facility transfers?
I don't know how we get.
Because that has gone up, we need more of those.
So put the insurance right now.
So it's showing in the insurance, okay.
And you can see it's dramatically higher. But there's more labor costs in other parts of the program. Something's increased the cost fairly dramatically.
Well, I would also say that our estimate for 2024 revenue for insurance that is low because the IFTs haven't significant.
Well, I mean, we have in fiscal year 2023, we had revenues of 199.
You should have at least that next year, and it should be more than that.
Right, and it's only, we're only putting in currently 180. So that number looks a little low, right? Is what you're saying, Stephen, right?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So that number should be more like,
That's where those payments are coming in.
so is that, because, and there was no corresponding expense last year for that. So you have to add at least 40,000 to the 192 or to the
Well,
180?
there's an expense.
I don't
You
know.
don't have to do it.
Okay,
Unlike the general fund,
Yeah.
it's got a balance, it comes out of tax dollars, you don't have to do that here.
okay.
But when you look at this next year, you do have to think about, well, how many years can you go with this type of a program? Otherwise, it turns into a water and sewer fund.
So the discussions we've been having with CMS, when John was here and with Jordan, was that we are aware that it's gonna take several years for the inter-facility transfers to become a viable income stream. So it's not something you just turn the switch on.
Is that just like getting the word out that we're doing it?
Well, it's that and having the staff to support it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so it's a combination thing. It's very hard to put the cart before the horse as far as manpower is concerned. And, you know, it just takes time to get it developed. So I think we all are still confident that it will get there.
Okay.
So,
In general, what Mike calls the private transfers, they're interfacility transports. But they're using the same insurance source as the patients have, so Medicare, Medicaid, third-party insurance. Some people do pay cash privately. With the interfacility transfers, what you have the opportunity to do is get more calls in the course of a day, and you increase your revenue that way. Whereas 911, you're waiting around, you gotta have somebody here, you're gonna pay to be here. You could go an entire shift and the phone might not ring, but you've still spent the money, the staff, the ambulance. As it sits there to be ready. And even when you're doing the interfacility transfers, you still have to have ambulances available for the
I
nine.
was gonna say, what's the practical impacts when you have one out doing that on Lebanon or whatever, and there's a 911 call, we have another ambulance that's
We do,
available?
you know, we have
We have three ambulances. You know, we also made an effort, to do, you know, if we're on a 911 call, and this is just a for instance. Several times we've been able to pick up on IMC, we're at Hitchcock, having done the 911 call, we're not going to Katie, we're actually picking up somebody at Dartmouth. And bringing them to where they have to be, so that's example, not always are emergency
The
situations.
business.
Yeah, so you gotta,
So there's some give and take there. I mean, obviously 911 takes precedence, but we, you know, payment on 911 is significantly lower than it is on anything else.
We're just running an Uber.
oxygen and stuff like that, yeah. Mike?
That business plan dates back 5 years ago, and it's a good business plan. We looked at it a year and a half ago, and I couldn't find any faults with it at all. The demand is there, it's a constant demand, and it's only limited by what we got the staffing available to do it. And as Jack pointed out several meetings back, there's a different vehicle that's usually used for that. So it's not a full life safety van, it's a reduced van. So the costs are less, and the revenues are actually higher with that type of transfer than it is with anything we're getting with the other 911 stuff.
My comment, I'm sorry, Ellie.
I see on here that there's several towns that have been contributing. I'm just curious, if number one town, it's decided how much they contribute and why is it that every town is contributing except Grafton?
Grafton has its own emergency service set up, but there is concerns that we, quite frankly, that we supply more calls to them.
Well, I noticed that when I just looked at like every month, the fire department makes a post and says how many things that we've done. And so it seems like we do a lot of calls for people that aren't in payment. So I was just wondering, so do we bill the town like it was a 911 call and it's from Dorchester, do we send it direct to Dorchester?
No, we get a flat, we have a contract with the towns that are, where we have income there from the towns, Dorchester and Orange, we have an annual contract that they pay us.
Okay.
Grafton, we're looking to reinstate that, or because of their response from their own CMS has been low. So
And Orange is way smaller. Than
it's a contracted rate, it's not based on the number of calls. There's a fixed rate in there, and there's an overrun if they overgo that number of calls that are allowed.
It must be a Dorchester goes like from 0 to 18,000. Over the last 5 years.
You had a point.
Orange is pretty stable.
Don't we have the same agreement when we do with the fire department?
No, the fire falls under the way. CMS, we do not, we pick and choose, we do not have to respond to the towns for.
Fire, we have I think it's a little more to it with fire because we actually have firefighters.
Is there anything you can do on the budget? Can bring this in?
Yes, no, it's part of the mutual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was passed.
it was passed.
Yeah, we're done. So let's move on, sir.
So, all right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the,
I know you're almost up, so could I at least point out what the contract said?
I don't think we need to do that.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, but then you're gonna say you don't know when you're.
We don't care.
Did you write a new one this year?
I have not for Grafton, we're in the process of looking at it.
Have you written a new one to Dorchester or?
or do we make any changes to this?
No,
There's a formula based on the tax base.
So it is the way it is.
it is.
We don't need dollars,
I guess we do, right?
throw some dollars in there.
$30 under contracted ambulance. or
Gonna remove
insurance,
medical equipment. Oh, it's combined. So actually there's CMS loan.
combined loan,
So really just be under contract ambulance where we'd probably put $1, right?
I don't know. Do we need it?
Well, that's why we got 3 ambulances.
Okay,
We use them all sometimes, but that's why they're short. I don't think, to my knowledge, the last 15 years we done it.
So all these can just stay blank then. All right. Great, then we don't need to reapprove this number, because, or did we ever approve the bottom line number? I don't think we did.
563.
32651.
That was what was approved.
All right, I'll make, okay, well, we did approve.
we
it.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
done.
great.
District.
So
So the
look at
number here is 563, 326, right? That's what it is.
563, 326, 51.
Those are motions.
That's what he's got. That was a couple of meetings ago. Yesterday. Good.
So back to highway.
Telling me what.
I mean,
police.
Yeah.
The police. Let's do the police.
And as you said, there was questions about I recall, Twin Bridges contract and the chief software, and I believe Carrie Ann sent that email out today, breaking that out, explaining it.
Saving time,
Yes,
looked at it, I understand it. And from that perspective, right now it's got 55,000, I think roughly that's in there. The 55,000 based on the breakouts that I've seen in the last 24 hours, 15,000 is for the CIS cloud software. 17,000 is Twin Bridges service contract, 13,000 is Twin Bridges server, and 9,000 is for like the ballistic vests and the other equipment. So it may not be the right spots, but the numbers are exactly the same, so I'm okay.
okay. And
I'm
so,
okay with the retirement.
Does anybody have any changes to police?
because I have written here changes to the Medicare and
Medicare.
retirement, did we?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, so if I could
Yep.
share again, well, I'm already sharing. Should be another question, but
Yeah, those two.
I don't know whether you can
Reduce
see
that.
this, you know.
Which one?
Equipment, we did reduce that.
This is a breakout. If you can see it. I got the fire chief, that was just to verify how it totaled out. So it says PD higher retirement base, PD higher retirement costs. The base means who's being taxed for the retirement. The cost is what is a cost. Then there's a lower FICA rate and a full FICA rate. And then there's people, and LMW means Lisa and Wayne, and dispatch is what it sounds like, which is Lisa. And then the lower retirement rate. So the reason it's all in there like that is because the rates are different. The rates are different depending on what it is. It's like 1.7% or something for FICA. The rate for retirement is significantly different. It's like 31% for the police department and 13% for non-police. Well, who's non-police and who's police? So it is, non-police is Lisa. So if you look at what the base is, the total base of all the wages is more than this. But if you pull out Lisa and you pull out Wayne, and then calculate how much is gonna be taxed for higher retirement costs, that number is $113,000. Okay? You can back up and look at the budget for what it is. And it's in the budget right now for $121,000.
On the bike or under?
On the retirement.
For who?
Why?
All right.
Who are we talking?
Turn around.
What?
See that number right there? That's what it is. You're right. That's the number that I think about it, but it's the number that's in the budget, at least as it was yesterday, is different from that.
Then I have it crossed out, Mike, and I have those numbers written here. Did we?
You agreed
Approve
to let me
those?
put them in for discussion purposes.
Okay. So so we would wanna, to the extent that, Carrie Ann, would you speak to that?
You would do that.
So our 2023 expended amount for police FICA is 14,814. Our expended amount in 2023 for police retirement is 166,773.
It wasn't reported correctly.
And then
Rates are published. And the classes are published. You gotta be a sworn officer. Is Lisa a sworn officer? No.
Also, to Carrie Ann's point, I think she's saying the numbers that are existing are reflective of what we paid, right?
So if we made a mistake of 40,000, we should continue the mistake.
Well, no, but I mean, I don't know that the budget committee is gonna adjust with that, right?
Well, it's a huge increase. I think you're making a mistake. Now, you're supposed to have a fiduciary duty.
Yeah.
To take a look at this crap and see if it's actually reasonable or not reasonable.
I agree with
And
that.
I've spent the last 3 months explaining that there are 2 different rates.
Ask her where the rate.
And all the salary came from Carrie Ann, so I'm using Carrie Ann's numbers for the salary.
Okay.
But Wayne gets treated one way, Carrie Ann Lisa gets treated one way, all the officers get treated another way. And in each one of my numbers, there's a formula that says exactly how that's supposed to work. And the formula is based on what the state law is. I don't know why we spent 165,000. Unless part of the workers and part of the FICA just came how it was posted. All I can tell you is this is what the law is.
All right, so let me see if I can get my brain around this.
Yeah.
Mike, your contention is that, let's focus on the retirement because the FICA is small,
Yeah.
right? What you're saying is we probably, in your mind, based on what you know, your knowledge, we probably overexpended, paid too much money to retirement funding in 2023,
We posted it wrong, but yes, okay.
posted it.
I don't know what it was spent on. There's only 2 ways you can spend that much money. Pay in at 7.65%, which you're not supposed to do because they aren't included in that
Yeah,
fund.
no, I understand.
Okay, or the alternative was posted somewhere.
Okay,
Those are the 2 ways.
all right. And then for 2024, based on the salaries and the makeup of the people in those salaries,
Yeah.
right? You think that the number should be a different number, 100 and what number?
I think
21.
The number ought to be, for retirement.
Yes, just retirement.
The retirement is $113,000. And 7, so it's a total of, it's a number that was up above, it's $121,000 is what retirement ought to be.
Okay. All right, but that's a substantial number. That's a 41. So Carrie Ann, can you address this in any way, shape or form, or do you need to go study this issue?
I'm presenting the information from the payroll system and I'm giving you the numbers. Maybe the disconnect is that the police also charge wages to Fund 6 for on-call for the special detail.
It's all in the phone.
So to the extent that it's an issue with some communication with the payroll company, which it sounds like, Mike, that's what you're saying is likely the case, right? I mean, They're the
If I
ones-
thought For a minute, I've already, thrown all sorts of ideas out and abandoned all those ideas. If I thought for a minute that what I was telling you was incorrect or even questionable.
understand.
no, I
Shut
understand.
up and go home,
No, I understand that, but
this is a lot of money.
But what happens if we change it and then it turns out that we have been doing it right and now we have a shortfall?
Then you're breaking the law. Here's the deal.
Well, okay,
When-
but
when-
practically,
When Social Security was created, there were classes created for Social Security. In some cases, people pay retirement and Medicaid or Medicare, okay? In other cases, they only pay Medicare. In our case, we voted 25 years ago or 30 years ago to go with just paying Medicare on any sworn officer that's a full-time employee and a part-time employee in Canaan. That doesn't change. It's not gonna change unless the law changes.
well, I understand. So it sounds like we need to maybe have somebody who's familiar with the law, take a look at this and give an opinion.
I won't vote for putting it up at $175,000.
Okay.
It's a
We
waste.
have a
of money.
comment.
Okay.
Zoom? Okay, yes, is it Dan?
Yeah,
Dan?
yeah, this is Dan. Just a quick question and I'm just trying to keep up. So forgive me if you guys already know, but fill me in. So I noticed when Mike was showing that Lisa is mentioned twice. Is that a possible discrepancy in the dollar amounts that we're looking at, Mike, or?
That would be the most likely thing, you see, you're assuming because you may have a patch on her outfit. That she's supposed to be paying the higher rate of retirement. It's the difference between 13% and 30%, so it's double. And that is a possibility. All I did to confirm it was to do it in accordance with what the laws say you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your spreadsheet and it shows PD, L and W, which is Lisa and Wayne, and then it shows PD dispatch, which is Lisa.
Yeah,
So if she's listed twice and really maybe shouldn't be,
no, it's part of the formula. The FICA is different from retirement. We took retirement first. Okay?
okay,
Based on the retirement, what gets counted into retirement. You can't read the formula, but where I'm waving around the cursor up there, it says.
Yep.
The total wages, and pull out the total wages, the cost of lease. 55,000. That is the formula that calculates the retirement base. So what does Lisa pay? Well, Lisa pays. Down here, 13%. That's what this number is down here. That's the Lisa number. It's up here, right above it, dispatch. And it's at 13%. So you have to add this number to this number to get retirement. 7,400 and 113,000 becomes 121,000. Those are numbers that are set in laws. They were decided decades ago. And that's how it works.
So if we were to reduce to this level,
Yes,
there would have to be some communication of how a change needs to happen because it's not happening that way currently, correct?
I think I've done everything I can do to tell you what the law is.
But somebody has to communicate that to payroll.
I talked to her about it this week, yeah.
So either Carrie Ann believes it, or she doesn't know.
Where the payroll program is at, is assuming something that it shouldn't assume.
That's what, I think, that's the issue, Mike.
So,
Making a
Well,
better-
either that or we've got somebody coded wrong. Yeah, but I think maybe Mike's point, I'm not certain, but I'm smelling that there's, somebody categorized in the wrong category.
Yep.
Right?
yes,
So there's multiple categories and maybe we only have one category
So do we,
in our payroll system.
let me try this a little bit. So
Sure.
we have some officers who are simply group 2 and not social security. And they're paying
I
a higher
haven't
amount,
dealt with that, yes.
yeah, they're in a higher, they're paying more in retirement because they're not participating in social security.
Right.
You have other people that continue to pay in social security because they're not a certified officer. And who also contribute to retirement because they don't have any choice. So
But those people pay a lower rate.
they do, yes, because they're still participating in social
Yep.
security. So those two numbers together. So if we,
It still doesn't come out by this.
if we do an analysis to make sure we understand who's totally group 2 and not social security, and who's group 2 and still social security, then that might help, because those rates.
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
aggregate
it's,
are
I don't
I
think
do have a
payroll's fun.
suggestion.
Either we're categorizing somebody wrong to the payroll system, we got somebody coded wrong. Or the payroll system is not coded to handle the different groups. I don't know which the answer is.
Part of it's garbage in, garbage out.
I understand.
Tying it to the state, and the state's relying on what we give them, and what we're giving them.
Yeah, they don't care.
Carry in, is tying up,
I don't care,
so.
because we're basically categorized, this woman is the same as everybody else.
I've been pointing this out now since September, so here's a suggestion. Humor me,
Well,
reduce the number. And then if the hearing shows up and they come in and got proof from the state or somebody else that says, no, we gotta pay the 165. I'll say yes. But I know the law hasn't changed, I know what the laws are. That ain't,
Carry in.
that isn't it.
So if we do Carrie Ann, then we're gonna do
Yeah,
Ellie,
Yeah.
okay?
do carry in. No, carry in was next, go ahead.
And then you're after that, okay, Ellie?
Our payroll system audited regular. And I trust that you have reflected those numbers in the personnel budget that I provided you all. So at any point, you could have checked the police. I know about the 2 rates. I accounted for it when I did the personnel budget. The fact that for retirement, we spent $166,000 in 2023, and I projected $165,000 for 24. I don't understand why there's a miscommunication around it. To me, everything looks in line with what we spent in this year and what we're planning to spend next year.
Right, so I just have one comment and then one question. So Nate, last night, I looked this up on the New Hampshire Retirement System website, those rates. And I just sent you a screenshot of this, actually it's probably early this morning, but and I meant to print it out, but I forgot, so I don't remember what the rates were, but it tells, for the whole year, it's the same thing, and it's basically what Mike said. It's roughly 30% for a full-time, officer, for retirement, and the FICA is 1.45, because they actually don't pay any social security, they pay for Medicare. Or Medicaid, rather, Medicare, yeah, Medicaid. So the other question, I guess, now that Dan brought this up, which I didn't know before, is if we have an officer, if I understand what you said, that's in training, they're not eligible for retirement, so they pay the regular FICA, is that right?
No, I didn't.
No?
I don't think so.
No, no,
Okay.
if you're in, you're in.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this was, this, I want to make sure I'm clear on, so there's 2 people that are not full-time officers that pay the regular FICA. That would be the administrative assistant, Lisa, and Wayne Hagan, the part-time officer.
Well,
Those 2 people, right?
Wayne pays retirement.
Oh, he does? I thought you just said the other night that he couldn't because he was already retired.
He's got other problems with retirement. If he makes too much in retirement, he gets penalized. But on this one, if you look again at the formula that's in here that I actually called and verified it with a bunch of other folks as well. Is still the only reduction from the 400 and some odd thousand that's in here for payroll is Lisa. So everybody else, including Wayne's part-time, is up in here. No, I take it back. It does not, it does not go there. It goes someplace else. So it's Lisa, you're right. It's Lisa and Wayne is out of that number.
And so that, they're the ones that are paying the regular FICA.
They're the ones paying the regular fee.
I want to make sure that's what I thought.
This number down here shows the 2 numbers. So this is Lisa is the 55,081 and Wayne is 36,102.
Okay, so how many other officers, so then how many officers are paying the full retirement? 5?
Oh, no, is that how many full-time, I don't know how many full-time officers we have.
Count the chief, right?
Chief has to pay, yeah.
Be 6 altogether, count the chief. Okay, and the other question, while I'm thinking of this, is, and this also includes the SRO, right, the school resource officer?
SRO is the sworn officer.
So do we build the school, the full,
Yes,
its full,
well, we used to.
salary and benefits, so does the retirement come back to us? When we build them?
It does if it's being billed the same way as it was a year ago.
Okay. All right, I'm done, thank you.
Did you have your hand up, Carrie Ann?
Yeah, I pulled the most recent payroll register, and Wayne does not pay retirement, he's part-time. It's the common.
Okay.
Okay, well, that still fits with this number here. Because this number starts with the 419. 419 is full-time employees, doesn't include.
what was the other person?
Lisa and Wayne. Wayne is a part-time. Well,
Working within his limited
within his-
retirement hours. And what does Lisa do?
Lisa is the dispatch.
He's administrative.
Is she an officer?
No,
No.
So is she in group 1 or 2?
she is the normal 13 point something percent.
Before left, like a clerical worker.
And the formula, you can see it. Here's the formula here, which is For the sworn officers, is this one up here, and it's based on 0.3128%. 31.28%, and then on the lower number, which is down here, which is lower retirement rate, is based on the 0.1353%, which is for normal, low risk employees.
Okay, so just to keep in the interest of moving on, Mike has a position based upon his interpretation and what he says the law is and what the calculation should be. Carrie Ann says, this has been audited, we review this is correct. We have numbers that are far apart. I don't have enough information to be able to decide which one is correct and which one is not. And I'm not questioning your, I mean, I am, I guess, I'm questioning just because I don't know. So I'm not sure what the budget committee wants to do with this.
Rather have the money in there in case it's needed and then reduce it and then not have it.
I mean,
I'd rather go on history of what's being paid and.
but it certainly seems like a valid issue that if we are over to be investigated, but I agree. I tend to hesitate to remove money if we're gonna need it.
Gotta figure your terms, I guess we can come back and debate it again next year, hopefully somebody will look at the law and do it right.
Wait a minute, just give me-
I will tell you what it
Conversation
makes a
going for
difference,
this.
right now, your tax rate increase for the general fund is 9.1%. I'm gonna plug in the higher numbers and I'll take a look at the costs. And there is always a result from this cause and effect.
Sure.
Okay, so if you plug that number in up at the top, it's gonna jack the tax rate up. And, you know, I try to argue for things that are more affordable, so that we'll have less of a stress on the 16, what is it, retirement, 165, 187.
I mean,
187, point what?
I mean, these auditors look at this stuff,
Wait a
right?
minute, who's the auditor?
I
Is it
I
somebody
don't
who
know,
works for the
Mike.
payroll
I
company?
don't know who it is.
Right?
If you put something in the wrong bin, the auditor's not gonna know it.
No, that's
That's
correct.
true.
And even if they are formal accounts, sometimes they don't know.
Well, they don't go, they don't.
I would avoid broad statements because we just don't know.
We don't know. There's not enough information. For me, personally, I think I would hesitate to, and I see what you do, I understand what you're doing, Mike. I completely agree. And if we knew that that was the case, I would say, let's lower that. We shouldn't be paying more money than we need to.
Okay, so you went from 9.1% to 10.7% taxes. It's worth-
$40,000.
Yeah,
No, I see it.
it's about a point. What Carrie Ann's doing to calculate tax rate doesn't work. And we haven't gotten to that yet, but it doesn't work. The question is, if you need more money and there is no other source for that money, it has to come from a tax increase. Okay? So if you need more money in the budget, it's almost the same as money's last year. If you need more money at the end of the day, when you get down to the bottom line, and there isn't any other revenue from like fairy godmother or the state or whatever, you're gonna raise the tax rate. So you need more money to add, because you just added back in 40,000 or 45,000, which is 2% increase on it. So it went up 10.7.
I want to object to the comment that Harry and fraud statement.
Noted.
Okay.
Sal.
Did it her way? I don't agree with her way.
Sal, did you have something you wanted to comment on?
Yeah, I asked Carrie Ann to take a look at the calculation that comes up with that $165,187.27. Because the formula she has in there, it doesn't come up with the right number. She's looking at it now, and I'll let her comment on it if she needs to.
So C 197, C 194.
Yeah.
That's on call.
Yeah, one is
Over
7,000 and the other's 25,000, right?
You add these two together first, I put them in parentheses, and then you multiply that by the 0.3128. And then you add in the 33,753.
I think it's a parens problem. Right? I think your formula is a parentheses problem.
I just calculated it by hand on a separate calculator and got the same thing that the spreadsheet calculated. So in a regular calculator, you add, so that there's a on-call salary and the overtime, multiply it by the retirement rate, and then add in the retirement that was calculated for full-time and the retirement on the,
No, that formula is wrong. I'm sorry. If you take the numbers that you plugged, $121,249, $33,763. C-197, which is 25.5, and 194, which is 7,000, you come up with roughly $187,000. If you multiply that by 0.3128, you're gonna get a way lower number.
but I'm
It's
not
not the
sure.
right order of operations.
Oh, I see.
So I put,
Oh, okay.
like, that was the whole pivot table.
Ah, so that's not salaries. Those are numbers, those are retirement
Those
numbers?
are actual retirement numbers for full-time and actual.
Thank you very
retirement
much.
numbers for-
That's a big help, okay. So you're saying that for some reason, yeah, wherever it is, okay, I get it now. Okay, well then that would, I get it.
So we essentially have two options, folks. We've talked about this, to another business issue. We want to look into it, make sure of it. I would say, Mike, if you would like to make a motion, then please make that. We'll vote on it.
For the record, yes, yeah,
This,
I know what the law is.
So you're making a motion?
yeah,
Yes, I'm making a-
Your motion is to do what specifically?
I'm making a motion to change the FICA to $12,250.66. And change retirement to $121,250.69.
Anybody want to second that motion? Karen, you gonna second that? All right, so we got a motion on the table in a second. We've discussed it. Do we have any further discussion on this?
Could you repeat the numbers one more time? Sure. $12,250.67. That's FICA. And the retirement is $121,250.69.
Who seconded that?
Karen. Yep. Any further discussion before we vote on those changes? Yes, Ellie.
I'm not gonna argue with it, but and how. It just, I mean, it just seems a little odd to me if we didn't change salaries, if we upped everybody's salary, why? The FICA and the retirement shouldn't be more than it was extended to 2023. Because that part doesn't make sense. Why would we spend $12,000 next year when we spent $14,000 in 23? We didn't cut, I mean, we didn't lose an officer, did we, or cut somebody's pay?
I think that that's a perfectly reasonable question, and I think Mary Ann already answered it. She says that that's what the payroll system comes up with for them.
Unless that's not. really-
Which said, the only way to verify what's going on is go through each step of this problem and identify what the correct answer is on the step. There are multiple ways that this is in. Mary Ann puts stuff in, payroll system puts stuff in, the state responds to it, responds to whatever goes into the system. So the problem is, if there's a logical error someplace with the data, it comes up with a number that's higher.
So is this, are we using new payroll software that we didn't use before?
I have no idea.
That's what worries me more than anything, is that this system is doing stuff on its own.
I will admit that I went and called, Gloria to see what happened in the past, and she confirmed that what I did is the way that it's supposed to be done.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have discussion on the floor, any other, it's to change the numbers or to not change the numbers? Well, this is to change them, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a roll call. vote on this.
One last question, though.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the answer. What happens if we don't have enough appropriated? In other words, let's say Mike is wrong, and what happened? What happens, who reports us, or is there a penalty? How does this work if we don't contribute enough to retirement?
Well, we'll still be paying it, it just won't have enough money in the budget for it, so we'll have to take it from another line item.
Yeah. Shift that
And then,
around.
okay, and then a second question, Mike, when you were doing your calculations, did you include the overtime pay?
There's rules about what you include and what you don't include. So the short answer is, on, the overtime pay. I did not include it for one thing, I did it on the other, so the overtime pay was included for the fire.
Because it was 105,000 or something, wasn't it? Yeah,
20,000, 25,005.
but I mean, 93,000. I just didn't know if maybe Carrie Ann's number included the overtime pay and yours didn't.
And retirement doesn't include.
There, I'd have to go back and look at the home to see which way it goes, whatever. I walked through it with Gloria, I did this originally back 3 months ago. And I did it based on my understanding, I checked with Gloria back a month and a half ago to make sure that I got it correct, she said yes. And it was a huge amount of money, I went back and asked her again, I said, this is how I dealt with it, she said, yes, that's correct, so that's what I did. And I knew that there was a difference between the numbers, and I went back and, went twice and said, please go check the numbers, because it's supposed to be the 1.whatever%, not the 7.65%, and it's supposed to be 13% versus 31%. So I did it based on what I was told. And it could be wrong, and I could check it really quickly, I could throw it in, all of it, and see what happens if you want me to. You could just add in, might be worth doing it. I mean, look, if it comes out that way, I'll give up and go away.
Dan has a question.
Dan?
My question is, in the sake of moving on, we had a motion, right? And were we, and I just want to make sure I'm not lost. I was wondering if we were getting ready to vote on the motion to whether we, yes or no, so we could kind of move on.
He doesn't vote.
Oh, I know I don't vote, Ellie. I'm wondering if that's where the board.
He said-
Thanks. Thank you, though. I appreciate the heads up. Just wondering if that's where we were and we kind of got sidetracked is all.
What?
I think our number's right.
Her number?
You gotta run it, but I'll tell you what is it in there.
So you're gonna withdraw your motion?
You give me a minute, I probably will, just let me try. I think it's the police chief. And I know you can get upset with me and all that, but I'm trying my level best to make this thing acceptable to the public.
Carrie Ann, the two numbers that you have in the formula, the 121,000 and the 33,000. Who are they for? Yeah.
I'll try one more thing. It didn't work, but I put the chief in the work.
So to Dan's point, we have a motion on the floor.
What did I answer?
Let's move the question.
No. I'm gonna resist until I get the answer to my question first.
What was the second number? So I got for the full-time salaries, the retirement comes to 121,249.16.
Which one? And then that's for the, for what? So that's for the $418,000 number?
I'll withdraw the motion.
You're gonna withdraw the motion? Okay, so we got,
Oh, I see. So full-time, the full-time,
Yep.
418,881.
Okay,
The retirement on that line is 121.
Gotcha. yeah. And then the 33 is,
107,940. That retirement comes to 33,763.
okay. So that's the police chief added in. So it's the full-time plus the police chief, plus the on-call, plus the overtime. Those are the ones that are going into the mix. So it's all 6 full-time people. Right? And is your point, Mike, that one of those 6 full-time people should not be getting 31% in
No,
overtime?
Lisa,
The police chief is not in the formula I'm using.
Okay,
oh, that's right, ooh.
That makes the difference.
all right. So we're all square.
I'm all square. I don't know.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
withdraw the motion?
No. It's just Mike had missed the chance. No big deal.
Because that third,
Right.
Thank you, Carrie.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
I'll never get that. I like
so, moving forward, I have,
Ask the question, I don't think we give.
so we've withdrawn the motion. I have in my notes that we reduced line 740, from 2310 to 16,890. Does everybody else have that as well?
Did we dispute that the numbers that from the contract that Carrie brought sent out earlier, that was not right?
Oh, is it, okay, so I
Right.
just have it crossed out here.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking the
Question.
committee.
Right?
Yeah.
The question whether whether the software support was in the equipment line, and it is.
It is, okay.
Because 13,110 is the software, right? And then or whatever it is, it's two different parts. One is the part of the annual agreement and then.
Right.
And he gave the breakdown.
So it's 20, leave it at 23.
Yep. Okay, so then we're gonna go ahead and, sorry?
So what are the two numbers? Do you think they are?
16,784 plus 13,110, correct?
It should be a total between those two lines of 55,000.
I mean, this is what I was looking at. I'm looking at the rate.
And the answer is yes.
This is all police.
The answer is yes, Mike.
Yeah.
Yes,
Those two
Plus?
numbers. No?
plus, the regular, equipment,
Right.
and the CSI.
We got another one.
Yes, there's 15,000 software, CIS, the CIS is 15,000. And regular equipment is 9, so you got a total of 15, 17, 9, and 13. Which is,
Let them figure that out when the numbers come in, when they pay the bills.
So really,
So we're good.
there's no changes then on this police budget.
well, that's why I'm asking what you think the number is for software support.
Oh, there it is. Oh, I'm looking at it.
If that number is 32,000, and the other one down below is 20,
23,000. Yep.
those are the correct numbers. They're maybe not allocated correctly between the two.
That's
The two
correct.
together
Yes,
get
the answer is
where
yes.
you need to be.
If you wanted to be technical, Mike, we'd have to take some of the money out of the 23 and
right.
put it in 32.
Yeah.
But let's leave it alone for now. I
Yeah.
think it's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Good. And then the police miscellaneous,
The
that,
aggregate is good.
that can stay blank. We don't need to pull that out. Okay, good. So we're back
No
to the
change.
1,062,323 and 4
No change.
cents.
We've already approved that.
We already we already approved it?
Yeah,
Is
pending,
that right?
pending something, but
Uh,
do we need to finally approve it? Let's finally approve it.
I'm gonna make a motion
Thank
that
you.
we approve the bottom line number of $1,062,323.04.
Second,
All right. Any further,
One more,
what?
one more time on the number.
Oh, yep, $1,062,323.04.
I'm different by 500 bucks. I would do.
okay.
All right. Safe to move,
Yeah.
move on about, all right, John.
Yeah.
Ellie,
Christine,
Stephen,
Yes.
Mark.
Yeah.
Sal.
Yes,
Mike Reese,
Yes,
Mike Sampson,
Yes,
Karen.
Yeah.
And I'm a yes.
and we're done.
Do we have to vote on a bottom line budget number?
I don't know.
Does anybody
You're
have
the
that
chair, you
number?
tell me. Does anybody have any idea what that number is?
Yeah, we'll need it for the warrant. article.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bringing.
Oh, we'll just bring it, okay, do it on Wednesday, but we've,
She'll enter all the changes, I'll make sure she's caught everything, maybe crosswalk it with Roger in the minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'll.
so we don't need to vote on it today. We can vote on it on Wednesday before the public hearing on Thursday.
You want to do revenue and go through revenue?
so.
Can we go through revenue? Must go through revenue, but the budget, you gotta have.
Go through it.
It's gonna be warrant.
Yeah,
yeah,
So,
okay.
are you gonna do,
think of it this way.
Yeah, we're going
Yeah.
through revenue now.
So we'll move on to revenue.
I guess my first question would be, Carrie Ann, when you were creating the revenue numbers, what was your assumptions
I estimate revenue very conservatively, because it's bad if you overestimate and then don't bring that in.
Mhm.
Because we're offsetting the tax rate with the revenue.
Right, so what you're saying is like, let's just take the current use change penalty. In 23, it was $52,000 year to date, right? So you estimated 50, so you just cut it back a couple of $1,000s, is that your?
Yeah, and I really focus on like the last 3 years to see like what our trend is, and then 23 is the most recent year, so I based it closer to that. Because most of them stay relatively level and slowly increase.
There's a secure answer for the outlier 42, you know what caused that huge increase for that year.
Yeah.
Payment in lieu of taxes, has been nothing since 2018. Is that where Cardigan is, or is Cardigan someplace else?
That's where Cardigan is.
They don't pay anymore?
Should we approach them and ask them to?
So,
Do we charge them for every, fire truck that goes up there?
Police call them.
Has he done any pickup from Cardigan since they did all their remodeling? So they added a lot of faculty apartments, like, it's my understanding is, the faculty residents are supposed to be.
Steve, did you say that you're looking into that?
it's, yes, but I'm not, I mean, I have not done anything on it, quite frankly, we talked about it as a board.
Okay.
Going up there.
Okay,
I've looked into it a little bit myself. I've pulled some tax records and we started doing that, but then there's just so much on our plate, it kind of fell to the wayside, but it is something we kind of had on our queue.
okay, good.
They were giving us $5,000 for fire. You can't get fireworks, but-
Well, we don't vote on revenue. I mean, it is
No,
what it
no,
is,
no,
right?
no,
Just
yeah.
going through it, okay.
You have to put it on the MS 737, so you have to go.
We do?
Yeah. Well, then don't sign 737 then. You have
What
to
if it
go-
changes after we vote on
Oh, it's gonna change, but this budget, it's a budget.
It just has to.
It's a
it?
budget.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
So if it's wrong, don't sign it.
we got you.
Yes.
That's why I don't sign it.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Is the log cabin up for sale? Is there any property up for sale? In 2024?
Nothing funny.
Good work, Carrie Ann, interest on investments. Thank you very much again.
Right, I'd like to ask a question,
Yeah, go ahead.
on revenues. Revenues. Again, I would say the same thing I said last night. The revenue is supposed to show in there from the library,
From the what?
from the library.
Library.
There's an offset against 195,000 that's supposed to come to grants, trust funds, and all that. And you can get that number, well, maybe, or it should be there, you don't have it in there. And then you got the skid steer, are you planning on paying for the skid steer out of the general fund or out of the non-lapsing account?
We like capital reserve fund for
Yeah,
that.
I think it's coming out of the non-lapsing.
Okay, so you need to put that in the transfer from trustees and trust funds. And then neither one of those are great amounts, but it's at least 35,000 more in revenue.
Yeah, that's all.
Right.
Those are all the accounts still here. Those are all.
Right,
possible.
but if there's a warrant article says, well, shall vote to raise and appropriate the sum of 20,000 for skid steer. To come from the non-lapsing, transfer station recycling revenue account. Then that shows as revenue under the revenue statement from the trustees to trust funds.
Oh, okay. But yeah, we got one for, say, Timothy, down there. Is that under miscellaneous revenue maybe? Yes, donation.
I mean, I don't know if the transfer from another.
Oh, that's down the bottom,
Right, that is.
yeah, line. On the bottom of page 2. Transfers from the trust fund.
Yeah, that's it.
Is there any reason to think that there's a way to increase any of that revenue?
Oh, there's a library fine in the library pocket.
And the only reason it has to be is because the revenue we got this year. Wouldn't have been enough to cover all this, it would still be zone taxes, please. 2 million is not exactly a luxurious position to be in. And this is showing that in 23, we got 2.2 million in a non-property tax revenue. Well, it's dropping by 200,000. Remember that 1% equals a 1.5% equals, so 40,000 bucks. Well, 200,000 divided by 40 is 5 times that, so you're 7.5% increase just because you don't have enough revenue. So it might pay for everybody to take a look at it and see if there's anything else you're missing. David, do you know about Meals and Rooms, what that's gonna happen on there?
You know. I'm actually, it was kind of surprised when I saw how big it went for the previously.
Yeah, well, the legislature's been screwed around with it every year. And it has helped the town significantly. In Carrie Ann, are you reasonably sure about your 90,000 on the interest?
Well, for December, we just earned 12,000, so as long as interest rates stay stable, it's stay.
Come down a little bit, but not enough to get you down to 90.
And as we spend our money, we earn less interest.
Really?
Like half the month, so we earn this money.
Well, the other ones that look, I mean, fire department miscellaneous,
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
is it just an average kind of a thing? Because we had an outlier year in 23, is that what, in 21? At 18?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Where are you?
Page 2, fire department miscellaneous. We had a big year, but then we had a low year. What's the source?
Our donations.
Yeah.
Marion, do you have a sense from Jordan or anybody of, I mean, about how the monthly ambulance revenue is it back in the same as last year, or?
It doesn't go into the general fund.
Well, it comes into it somehow we're booking it.
It's a non-lapsing account, it's like water and sewer, you can't mix it with the general fund.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I don't think you got it in there, I would have noticed before.
think is that it's like,
Are you talking about the revenue line?
we haven't dropped
Yeah.
below $2 million.
The question is, if ambulance is bringing a lot of money, does it help on this?
It's unlikely.
Wasn't that the insurance fund?
It is.
Yeah.
Is that, is it?
There's an estimate that's on.
No, you mean the.
Well, I mean, there's odd items here and there, you know, sale of property. That's why I asked the question, because you got big numbers there recently. Right, if you're above this number, but there's a zero in there. We're selling it, it's $100 grand roughly,
Okay.
and that's a big number.
So we reckon, in here, what you're saying for the,
Other than
you
that,
know, paid us?
no, there's really not much.
Where are you?
Page 4,
Nice enough.
3 lines up from the bottom. It's
I'm not interested in the general fund, because that's the only thing
That's not
that's
the-
it's just the property.
When you go over on page 4, common fund,
Well,
not
lapsing crap, yeah.
CEMS, not in there, water, not in there, playground, recreation, not in there, doesn't offset taxes. Where you do get it is, okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you guys had a conversation, my understanding is that it's the 1,984,000 number that we're looking at, that's
yeah,
it, okay.
but I think doing a contractor maybe as high as 2 million change. And I don't know, but right now, service 1,984,000.
Carrie Ann?
Also, I wasn't sure, because the general fund revenue, the transfers from the trust fund And I didn't know what to put in there because I wasn't sure how to guess what my articles would pass, but that's what I was like.
Yeah.
When we spend the money, then we bring the money in to pay for it.
So when you get done with the bottom of the budget, you got all the stuff going into capital reserves and coming out of capital reserves. If the money is coming out of capital reserves, and the income statement, that shows as money coming in from the trustees fund, trustees and trusts.
Okay.
Okay. If it's going to capital reserves, then that's a warrant item, so it doesn't impact the general fund budget. It impacts the tax rate. So where in the past it has been helpful is if there's a, well, take the cemeteries. Cemeteries have trust funds. It's usually somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 that comes from the cemetery trust fund into the general fund. That one counts. Okay. If you're looking to calculate the tax rate, you're putting the whole mess together. So you're putting the general fund and the warrant articles together for expenses. And on the other side, you're putting in all the monies that are in the capital reserves that were big coming out from capital reserves and anything else that's available, like undesignated fund balance. So as near as I can tell, looking at your warrant articles and the statements that you've given, the proposal is to get at least 451,000 out of undesignated fund balance. If that happens, then in the revenue side, you'll see that there's, on the expense side, you'll add all the capital reserve appropriations. On the revenue side, you would also add the 451,000 as an offset. In the software I've been using, I already did that, I already built it, so it works that way. And it's not helping it. It's the general fund is still, it's not terrible, you know, I was hoping that we would get a general fund that's less than 10%, it's close. But when you put all the warrant articles in, it gets really difficult. It's up around 24, 25, and I know that there's a difference of opinion. But it's about 25%. We'll know when the tax rate is set. And then while we're on that topic, if I could, just one more complication. At one time, you were showing an overlay of 135,000. Are you still proposing that?
No, that was
Good. So,
double the tax rate level.
yeah, that would kill us better than. So we can't do that. I mean, the biggest overlay I think we ever had was like $10,000. And yeah, we got the authority to put it in a god awful amount, but yeah, every 45,000 ups the tax rate.
Yeah.
Other
Yeah.
percent.
That was the one-time opportunity, we took it double the tax rate level. We put that one away and put that in your fund balance.
So anyway,
This full tax is decreased.
maybe we could put on the income until we look at the warrant article.
Well, it's gonna have an impact on,
It's gonna have a huge.
right? So,
I did, my comment was, and it's always a comment, it looks low.
yeah, well, I don't think we need to approve anything tonight, right?
No, we've got.
We can wait till we see the
Wednesday.
warrant articles and then we can see how that's gonna impact revenue and then approve.
We
Yeah.
just have to have it done by the end of next meeting.
Right.
Before the
Yeah.
public hearing.
All right, great.
Okay, good. So we won't vote on this.
All right.
We could do the income on Wednesday at the same time.
Yep. Okay, good. So our next meeting will be next Wednesday, 7:30. 7:30 here. We'll be going over the warrant articles, the bottom line, which will include the bottom line budget number and also the revenues. Default, okay.
How do we get that?
How do we get that?
How do we
All right,
get
I'll
that?
come up with one. Be fine, be fine.
Does anybody know how we get that?
Yeah.
How do we get that?
Just make it up.
Nate's gonna make it up.
Double the proposed budget.
Yeah,
You double the proposed budget.
What's that?
Yeah.
Quick comment before you adjourn. I apologize. I did not count the police chiefs. That's my fault, not your fault, totally my fault.
Somebody's
But
perfect.
I don't apologize for at least trying to use a critical analysis to come up with some way to cut this budget.
Like I've told various people, we're all members of the committee.
Right.
We all have the
We've
right
got-
to speak.
And am gonna be insistent on things as you clearly have seen over the last few weeks.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
At least want you to tell me to go to hell, that's perfectly okay, but, you gotta do nickel and dime, if you're gonna get this thing under control, and this,
Well, we voted you down how many times last night, so.
We have things under control. We have things under control.
You know what-
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I just did a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. Have to do a roll. I guess we got a
We have
roll
to do a
call.
roll call.
All right, Sal,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
I mean,
Mike, you want to adjourn?
Mike,
Yes.
Mike. Hey, Sampson,
I don't know if you know.
no, Karen, yes, Mark, Stephen, all right, John, all right, good.
Yeah.